Right, Jay Bothroyd, how confident should Arsenal be right now?
It's a derby, first and foremost, which means obviously it's whoever turns up on the day. Obviously, there's huge negative around Arsenal because Gabriel now is injured. He's going to be injured for, it could be a month.
We'll hear from Arteta at 1 o'clock, so hopefully we'll get an update on the timescale.
But that's a massive blow because he's great in both boxes. He's physical. He's got a great partnership with Saliba. But again, I think it will be just a tight game. Form goes out the window. And Tottenham have some players that can hurt Arsenal as well. I think Palhinha in there as well, that defensive rock, he's been fantastic. I feel like this is a game where probably Xavi Simons, he needs to, stand up now and start being more creative. I think he's played well in parts this season, but I feel like he could be the catalyst in opening defences up, especially, going forward in them wide areas.
Who should replace Gabriel? Because there are options.
Tough one, because
quite a lot of them.
Yeah, I probably would push Calafiori into the centre back and then play Luis Skelly.
Because they've got Nkapie, they've got Mosquera, Benjamin White.
Yeah, I mean, listen. There's a lot of options there. There are options, and that's one thing that Arsenal do have. They have good depth in their back line, but I probably would put Calafiori left centre back, and then I'd put Miles Lewis Skelly in at left back.
Right. Okay. Who's more important to Arsenal, Gabriel or Saliba?
It's a great question, to be honest. I always have this debate. I think Saliba overall is a better player, but I feel like Gabriel is more important to Arsenal. He's more effective in both boxes. I can imagine he would be an absolute nightmare to play against. He gets really tight, he don't let you turn, he's physical, he's strong, he's good in the air. He's that kind of defender, a bit like Rudiger, where it'll bother you when the ball's not even, when it's nowhere near you. So I actually think that Gabriel is probably more important for Arsenal's backline than Saliba, even though they're great.
On Wednesday on Sky Sports Fan Club, we had 10 fans of Premier League clubs in the studio, including an Arsenal fan. We had Jamie O'Hara there, and we had...
Jamie, yeah.
Did I say Jay O'Hara?
Jamie.
What did I say?
Yeah, you said Jamie, but I'm like, he's a Tottenham fan.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, well, this is still relevant, what I'm about to say, okay?
Okay.
And we had a flash poll. Everyone had a yes or no to answer. And the question was, will Arsenal win the league? So you got 10 fans and Jamie, so 11 people. Only one said yes, that Arsenal were going to win the league.
Was that the Arsenal fan?
It was the Arsenal fan. But only one. But that really surprised me. And I haven't really still got my head around it. That only one person out of 11 thought that Arsenal were going to win the league, and they're top.
No, exactly. I mean, it is surprising because Arsenal are in a commanding position right now, playing very well, difficult to break down, difficult to score against. So that is surprising. But Arsenal have been in similar scenarios during a season where they have been in the driving seat and gave the advantage away. But again, it's the beginning of a season, Tom. It's like 11 games gone. Can we really be talking about Arsenal going to win the league, Liverpool going to win it, Man City? It doesn't matter right now. I think what Pep Guardiola said was absolutely right. I mean, the league probably does start around now, but then you want your teams to be on form around March, April, where they're like absolutely hit the ground running, they're in form, they're scoring goals, they're not conceding.
Well,
that's when it really matters.
Not if it's too late by then, though.
Yeah, I mean, if it's too late, it's too late, right? But I feel like most seasons, you got to look at the league. January, February, you need to start getting on the form. But March, April, you need to be like in full stride.
Right, well, Sky Sports have partnered with analyses, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. Joining us now is Scarlett Katz-Roberts. Good morning to you, Scarlett. Always good to see you. Just before we get into the North London derby then, were you surprised about that stat I've just told you, that only 1 out of 11 people in the studio said that they thought that Arsenal would win the league?
Can I first of all just say hello to Jay and thank you for backing me the other week against my sister Lola.
There you go.
Oh, actually, we've got a question for Scarlett, haven't we? I've just remembered. We've got a question. The question that... So your twin sister, for anyone that doesn't know, Lola, supports Liverpool. And she had a question that she wanted us to ask you, which was it a headbutt or was it a genuine slip? Tell us what she means, Scarlett.
Look, Like I said, VAR wasn't around in 2017 when Lacazette got a late winner against Leicester. I was going to give it to her to celebrate in her face, and I tripped on the edge of a rug and fell down onto her knees. And of course, she interpreted that as a headbutt somehow. But,
The thing is, if you headbutt her knee, it probably did more damage to you than her anyway. So was it a knee or was it, Oh, well, anyway. What did you think about the kind of lack of confidence outside of Arsenal fans that you're going to win the league, even though you're top?
I mean, as an Arsenal fan, it's unsurprising, to be honest with you. We don't have concrete evidence to put in front of other fans of us winning to kind of combat the narrative that we aren't winners, despite actually being the most consistent team points-wise for the last 3 years. So I'm not surprised. And, honestly, in terms of the overall picture, does it really matter if other fans want to write you off? Probably not. I think there is a lot of noise around Arsenal because they haven't won in a long time. There always will be. My hope is just that the players are focused and relaxed, and I kind of think that's all that matters.
I actually feel like this is the most important point of the season now. Arsenal have lost Gabriel. Because I feel like he's so important to the way Arsenal play. He's so important in both boxes. And in the past, Arsenal have struggled without Gabriel. So this is a moment. I know that there is depth with players that Arsenal can bring in, but ultimately that kind of loss in the North London derby is going to be difficult to play without him.
I agree, and I think this week is a gut check in many ways. Tottenham, Bayern, Chelsea. One way or another, we're going to learn a lot about this team on the other side of this. And I think in terms of Tottenham, as you allude to, the question isn't really, are Arsenal better than Tottenham? They are. The question is, can Arsenal be Arsenal without so many players? and without Gabriel, that is, when you have such high quality players, it doesn't really matter about the depth. Hincapié captained Ecuador in the week, but someone as influential as him, there is inevitably going to be a drop-off in quality when you don't have him.
So Jay said to put Calafiori into centre-back and Miles Skelly into left-back. What would you do?
You know what? I agree with Jay, actually.
You two love each other, don't you?
We've got that.
I'm not letting you two on together.
We've got a good relationship now.
This is too nice. Jay, do you know what, Scarlett? Jay argues with everybody just for the sake of arguing. He'd argue with himself who's in a room on his own, but with you, he agrees with everything you say.
It's very different being on with Jamie O'Hara and being on with Jay, I'll tell you that.
You should see when me and Jamie O'Hara are on together.
Are you nervous, Scott? Going into a derby, most fans, a mixture of nervous and excitement, but mainly nervous and dread in some cases. How are you feeling going into this one?
To put it bluntly, I'm terrified. I want to say something rational to you, but my lizard North London derby fan brain is telling me that Spurs have nothing to lose. They're strong away from home. Frank has a good record against Arsenal. And actually, when he got the job, my first thought was the North London derby is going to get harder. So I think it will be awkward, and the pressure is all on us, because if we don't win, we're bottle jobs, aren't we?
That's 100% right, and that's why I feel like it's too soon.
What a surprise.
Exactly, I'm agreeing with you again. But that's the reason why I feel like it's too soon to say that Arsenal are just going to win the league. It is not a given. There is a lot of football to be played, and I look at this game and I say, form goes out the window. It's whoever turns up on the day. Now, when I look at Tottenham's backline is very strong. You've got someone that sits in front in Pellegrini that is very strong, that he reads the game. I think he makes the most tackles in the Premier League. So defensively, Tottenham are strong. Arsenal, on the other hand, we haven't been great at scoring goals and open play. And when we don't have Gabriel, that is great and dominant in the attacking box, it's difficult to see where the goals are coming from. There's no doubt about it. There's so much talent there at Arsenal. The likes of Saka, obviously Trossard's done very well. Eze's a fantastic player. But we haven't scored in open play as freely as other years.
But Jay, I'm going to disagree with you slightly here.
Hallelujah.
We've scored less than we should have from open play. Our open play XG is actually okay, and our XG overall is second only to Chelsea in the league.
Yeah, but XG don't mean nothing. XG is one of them great stats that mean nothing.
Yeah, go on, wind each other up. Go on, go on.
But I think, we've also, like, if you want another stat, make of it what you will. We've played the most through balls in the league as well. And I think a lot of this perception about Arsenal struggling in open play does come from last season, where we did struggle from open play because we had so many attackers out.
I'm not saying struggle. Like, I'm talking about in terms of, for the players we have, the talent that is there in our squad, we are not scoring enough goals in open play. That's what I'm saying.
I agree, actually.
There you go. We're back.
I think we will. It just depends who's on the pitch. Is Eze will probably be on the pitch. Is Odegaard going to be there? Is Gyökeres going to be there? Is it going to be a very talented and excellent finisher of a midfielder playing up front? Or is it going to be a real striker? We don't know.
Yeah. OK, Scarlett, great to see you. Good luck on Sunday.
Thanks, Scarlett. See you soon.
Thank you very much.
Here are the Premier League stand-ins, with the Premier League returning this weekend and bringing with it the North London derby at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal taking on Spurs on Sunday. Spurs unbeaten away in the Premier League this season. Arsenal sitting top of the table in the Premier League. This is how recent games look between the two, though, and it doesn't look so great for Spurs. So, Craig, how do you see this one going?
Arsenal. Pretty simple.
Is it going to be a simple win for them now?
No, I mean, I think Thomas Frank has definitely made them, for the most part, tougher to beat. He's much more organised. Listen, that's saying something. I think any manager going in off Postecoglou would be considered more organised. But I think he has really gone the other way. And at times I think it's too much, and I think he needs to find the balance. I think some of their football has been very poor to watch, so I think he's struggling to find that balance between the organisation and then utilising their better players going forward. And I know they have some injuries. That being said, I think even if you go to the Emirates and sit in, I think this Arsenal side eventually will open you up. So yeah, I mean, it's a well organised Tottenham side, but it's a Tottenham side that really hasn't flourished as much going forward. And it is early days, I think, as most Tottenham fans would like. And, where it's all going to come out in the wash at the end of the season, I don't know. I don't know. But what we do know is Arsenal had that hiccup at Sunderland. They had the game under control, winning 2-1 late on. They lost that late goal. So they need to respond off the back of the international window, and I think being at home, I think they will.
Ian, one of the interesting things here is Spurs away form, stronger away from home this season.
Yeah, they're a tighter nut, a tougher nut to crack, as Craig was saying there. I think they've got 13 points out of 15 on the road. So that says that Thomas Frank is getting their act together. But, they haven't played Arsenal away yet. You know how many goals Arsenal have let in at home this season in the Premier League and Champions League combined? One. The one that Erling Haaland scored for Manchester City. OK, Gabriel's out for what we're told is a couple of months. But now they've got the cover, haven't they, in the squad? They've got this guy Mosquera. They can bring him into central defence, or they can put Calafiori into central defence and bring in Lewis Skelly at left back. So I don't think it's going to disrupt them too much. I'm with Craig. Arsenal to win it, and probably to 2-0.
It's mostly, and I say that during the last show, where on set pieces, when Gabriel is so important, he's a real target for Declan Rice from corner kicks and to aim him and to try to score goal, and he did a lot on that. So I think Gabriel will be missed in that matter. And let's see how it works. But from Tottenham, there is something to play. I like the fact that Romero's back, and with Van de Ven, they are pretty strong with Porro on the right side and Spence on the left side. Vicario is doing great as well. So I think it's going to be a close win for Arsenal. For me, I see a 1-0. We know how Arsenal is going to play. Every game we see, they're very structured, very well organized. The question mark is more on Spurs. Will they be very good like they always been away from home, or will it be disappointing? And we can see it when they play at home. But let's see how it works. But I see a little win from Arsenal. Could you see a stumble for Arsenal here?
No, I can't. And to your point about Sunderland, Spurs simply don't have the physicality that Sunderland do. I agree with the boys in that Thomas Frank certainly has the Spurs team far more organised. I still think that Spurs' biggest problem is, while they have potentially a very good 11, far too many of their players, I'm thinking the likes of Xavi Simons in particular, are below par as opposed to delivering on what you expect them to. And that's the difference here. It's an inconsistent Spurs, organised albeit, up against an Arsenal team who knows exactly what they're doing, knows their strengths, are as good a version of themselves as we've seen, at home in a North London derby. I see this as being far more convincing. I think I went for 3-0 Arsenal.
Ian's been writing about the best players in the Premier League so far this season, and I know you like Martin Zubimendi, Ian. Tell us more about what you like about him.
Well, they asked me to pick out maybe one or two unexpected players who are not getting all the publicity. So Martin Zubimendi, he's arrived in England. A lot of players come to England, and we're seeing it with Wirtz at Liverpool, and are taking time to adapt. Zubimendi's just gone straight into that midfield, sat at the base of the midfield, breaks the play up, uses the ball sensibly.
You could watch 12 Arsenal games and talk about everybody else and not talk about him. And that's not a bad thing. He is a little bit under the radar in terms of, you might look at him and say, well, pass it forward a bit quicker, pass it forward more. But he just links the play up seamlessly. He's not the most physical player, but he gets himself in good positions. He's always available to get the ball from the fullbacks or the centre halves. And the simplicity of his play just leads to he's like the oil in the chain. He just keeps it going. He's never going to. He might pop up now and again with a goal like that, but it's not going to be a lot. He's just a guy in there that links it all together. And I think the fact that he does it under the radar, for the most part, is a good thing. And I think he does it well. He's almost like a guy who, every week, he's pretty much a 7 or 8, an 8 out of 10. Your manager knows what you're going to get from him. It's simple stuff, it's link up, he's got consistency, and he's happy, it seems, for others to go and pick up the headlines. The Sakas, the Rice, the Odegaard, Gyökeres, whoever it is. They go and they grab the headlines. And Zubimendi's the type of player, he just gets in there and he does his job. And thus far, as Ian said, he's done it very well.
Now, we've got a bit of a spoiler alert from Craig as to who he thinks will win this game. But we're going to get a specific prediction tomorrow because he's on tomorrow's show. That's why his name's not on this list here.
I'm not doing it now.
This is how things look, though. The problem for Arsenal is that everybody's unanimous in what they think it's going to be. Shaka, you've got quite the win there for Arsenal now.
Yeah, like I said, I am unconvinced by Spurs in so many departments. Unconvinced up against an opponent such as Arsenal. On their day, they can be an outstanding team, but too often you have too many underperformers, too many passengers. Arsenal never seem to have those. And at home, a game as emotionally charged as this one, I think they win this quite easily. You've been a little bit generous, Ian, not quite so generous as Shaka.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, I think what's interesting about the way the games are phased this weekend, Manchester City, if they beat Newcastle away, that is a bit of an if, would only be a point behind Arsenal when that North London derby starts. So they've closed the gap and they've looked ominous, haven't they? City, particularly against Liverpool recently. You know, Haaland can't stop scoring. Doku's terrorising defences. So, it's good for the title race. But what will be the situation when that game kicks off? But I do think Arsenal will win it. Yeah, I just think they're the better side.
Yeah, and a little bit tighter for you, Frank.
Yes, because I really think that there aren't a big margin between the two, a big gap, between the two teams, and also because Arsenal, we know how they play. They're not going to look for, that brilliant, petulant win. They're going to do what they have to do. So 1-0 is going to be enough, and they're very well organized, they're very structured. So 1-0, and they can keep the clean sheet, and that's going to be enough. And they're going to win that game. It's what I think. But Spurs can surprise, and they have qualities, and they've showed away from them that they are capable of tormenting, I would say, Arsenal. But I know why Saka did 3-0. Is there an Italian player playing for Spurs? No, I don't think so. It's only one, and there is a Calafiori on the left side, exactly. So I know why he put 3-0. That's why. He has something.
The future of Ethan Nwanery's potential loan move is suddenly uncertain, as Arsenal remain wary of repeating past setbacks caused by injuries. According to recent reports, the club is open to sending the young midfielder out on loan this winter, but the idea raises immediate questions. Nwaneri has become the talk of the moment after a report from the Daily Mail suggested that Arsenal are considering a temporary move for the 18-year-old. Despite his limited minutes this season, the thought of letting him leave, even temporarily, comes with significant doubts. Back in October, Mikel Arteta publicly insisted that Nwaneri would have plenty of opportunities to play, pointing to the fact that the teenager had already been called upon when Martin Odegaard was injured. "I don't know, but I don't work with expectations," Arteta said at the time. "I work with what the players can give in the context of where the team is at that moment." Ethan played 2 Premier League matches early on because Martin was out. He's played in other competitions and he'll play more. Yet the reality has been very different. Nwaneri has logged fewer than 500 minutes this season, appearing in just 5 of Arsenal's 11 Premier League games, none of them as a starter. His only starts came in the 2 EFL Cup wins over Port Vale and Brighton, and in the 3-0 Champions League victory against Slavia Prague. The arrival of Ebereki Eze and the promotion of Max Daumann have tightened competition even further. And despite injuries to Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke, Nwaneri's pathway has only narrowed. It's easy to forget how young he still is. At 18, and having first debuted at just 15, like Daumann, these are formative years where consistent playing time is crucial. The busy festive period could open that door, but with Odegaard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz all nearing their returns, there's a real chance Nwaneri could slide even further down the pecking order. This is why a January loan sounds logical on paper, but it also sets off alarm bells. Arsenal's season has already been shaped by injuries for the second year in a row, and squad depth has never felt more essential. A single setback among the attacking players over the holiday fixture run could thrust Nwaneri back into an important role almost overnight. The more sensible approach may be to reassess in the summer, once the squad naturally reshapes and the club have a clearer picture of their needs heading into 2025. Only then would a loan feel more secure, ensuring Nwaneri actually gets the minutes he needs rather than risking another stalled development. Even then, nothing is guaranteed. Supporters will remember Serge Gnabry's loan to West Brom, intended to push him closer to first-team football, but ultimately a move that derailed his progress before he rebuilt his career in Germany. Arsenal's recent history with loans has been mixed at best, and too often unsuccessful. For now, the club must weigh the immediate needs of the squad against the long-term growth of one of their brightest prospects. Whether a loan becomes the right option, or another cautionary tale, remains to be seen. But the complexity of Nwaneri's situation extends beyond simply playing time and squad depth. Inside the club, there is an ongoing debate about how quickly young talents should be exposed to the pressures of elite-level football. Some staff members argue that Nwaneri's technical level is already above many players his age and that keeping him close to Arteta's structure will accelerate his development. Others believe that without consistent starts, and without a clear pathway to earn them, his progress could plateau. The uncertainty has also stirred conversation among supporters and pundits. Several former Arsenal players have expressed concern that the club may be repeating old patterns, where promising youngsters become trapped between first-team aspirations and inconsistent minutes. Others, however, believe the club is being careful for the right reasons, protecting a player who still needs physical development before facing the demands of weekly Premier League battles. This internal and external pressure has placed added scrutiny on Arteta's handling of young talents this season. While he has been praised for trusting academy graduates in the past, the balance has become harder to maintain now that Arsenal are competing on multiple fronts and aiming for silverware. Every decision carries weight. Resting senior players risks losing points, while overusing inexperienced teenagers risks injury or decline in confidence. There is also the broader question of what kind of loan would actually benefit Nwaneri, should the club eventually decide to pursue one. A move to a Premier League side fighting relegation could offer minutes, but expose him to a demanding environment that prioritizes survival over development. A championship loan, on the other hand, might provide consistent matches, but at the cost of adjusting to a more physical style that does not always align with Arsenal's tactical identity. European options have been mentioned as well, though not confirmed. The possibility of joining a club in the Netherlands or Germany, leagues known for nurturing young talent, has been discussed quietly among observers. Yet Arsenal are hesitant, given how unpredictable such moves can be and how often they fail to produce the expected results. Meanwhile, Nwaneri himself remains focused and professional, according to those around the training ground. He is said to be eager for opportunities, but not frustrated or discouraged. The coaching staff admire his attitude, which only complicates the decision further. He is doing everything right, and still his future remains uncertain. As Arsenal approach the January window, the club finds itself at a crossroads. The next few weeks will likely be decisive, not just for Nwaneri's short-term career, but for how Arsenal choose to manage their most gifted prospects in an era of high expectations and relentless schedules. Any decision made now will be examined closely, not only because of what it means for Nwaneri, but because it will signal how the club intends to balance ambition with development as they move into the next phase of Arteta's project. Arsenal now face a difficult setback. Piero Hincapié may have to step into the North London derby under less than ideal circumstances after Gabriel's injury blow. The club is hoping that Hincapié's long late return trip to North London won't affect his readiness to replace Gabriel against Tottenham, because losing the Brazilian for such a crucial match is a major hit to Mikel Arteta's plans. Arsenal have already been forced to cope with key absences at various stages of the season, but Gabriel missing the derby presents a challenge of a very different magnitude. Naturally, the focus shifts to who will fill the gap on the left side of Arsenal's defense, and for many, the most logical answer is Piero Hincapié. The summer signing impressed during his only start for the club so far, an outstanding display at left centre-back in the League Cup win over Brighton. That night, he partnered with Christian Mosquera, who is also an option for Arteta on Sunday. One possible configuration would see William Saliba move to the left, with Mosquera taking his place on the right, depending on how heavily Hincapié's international travel weighs on Arteta's decision. And that travel is far from insignificant. The Ecuadorian defender is currently away with his national team. He captained Ecuador during their 0-0 draw with Canada, helping secure the clean sheet. But the real concern comes with his final international fixture. Ecuador face New Zealand in New Jersey in the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. The match kicks off at 1:30 a.m. and is expected to finish around 4 a.m. Only after that will Hincapié board his flight back to England, meaning he won't arrive in London until Wednesday afternoon at the earliest. From there, he will have just a handful of days to recover, settle back in, and prepare for one of the most intense fixtures of the season. The slight silver lining is that the derby falls late in the weekend, giving him as much time as possible to reintegrate. Still, the timing of his return is far from ideal and adds yet another layer of uncertainty to Arsenal's defensive preparations ahead of a match that could define their momentum for weeks to come. Beyond the logistical headache, Arteta and his staff must also consider the physical and tactical demands that a North London derby imposes. It is not the sort of match where a defender can arrive underprepared, particularly against a Tottenham side that has looked sharp in attack this season. Any hesitation, any lapse in intensity caused by travel fatigue, could be costly. Inside Arsenal, there is a quiet concern that the club may once again be walking a tightrope with its defensive depth. Over the past 2 seasons, injuries at the back have forced Arteta into uncomfortable choices, and Gabriel's setback reopens a conversation that the club hoped was behind them. The manager has repeatedly emphasized the importance of continuity across the defensive line, especially given how central the high defensive line and controlled build-up are to Arsenal's identity. Gabriel and Saliba have been at the core of that stability, and disrupting it inevitably changes the team's rhythm. Analysts close to the club have noted that Hincapié's profile fits the role well, confident under pressure, quick across the ground, and capable of progressing the ball with either foot. However, they also caution that he is still adapting to the Premier League's pace and physicality. Throwing him straight into a derby environment may accelerate his integration, but it also carries risk. Supporters have expressed mixed reactions as well. Many are eager to see Hincapié given a real opportunity, believing his style suits Arsenal's long-term plans. Others worry that asking him to deliver immediately, under difficult circumstances, could place unnecessary pressure on a player still in the early stages of adjusting to English football. The timing of Gabriel's injury also complicates Arsenal's broader goals. With a congested winter schedule approaching and the title race tightening, every match takes on heightened importance. Dropping points against Tottenham could shift momentum, not just in the standings but in confidence across the squad. It also forces Arteta to rethink how he manages minutes for defenders who have already logged heavy workloads this season. Club insiders say the staff have been preparing contingency plans for weeks, anticipating scenarios where international duties and injuries overlap. Yet even the best planning can be stretched thin when travel delays and late-night kickoffs are added to the equation. In the coming days, the medical and performance teams will conduct assessments to determine exactly how ready Hincapié is for Sunday's showdown. Arteta is expected to make a late decision, balancing long-term health with short-term necessity. The hope is that the Ecuadorian arrives in good condition, responds well to training, and can at least offer a reliable solution in Gabriel's absence. What remains undeniable is that Arsenal enter the derby under a new layer of pressure, forced to adapt, to trust their depth, and to test the resilience that has been a defining theme of their season so far.